another way that you can be more consistent and intense and increase your intensity at the same time is preparing, is focusing on preparation. When you focus on preparation, you're already kind of positioning yourself to where you're not going to be late. You're going to be punctual. You're going to be early. When you have something prepared in advance, that means that at the time that it is supposed to get launched, you can launch it already. Like, think of it, instead of you, like, take this example. Think about if you do the work and you get paid. Okay. Or you do the work, you get paid, right? Now think about you prepare the work and then you get paid, right? It's the difference between um getting paid and then you getting work, right? You getting paid and then you working. Instead of you getting paid and then work, why not work before, so that all you have to do is say, here's the work, and then you get paid, you know? So before you get paid, you do the work. That way that the client's always going to get their stuff on time, and you can even be early. You can even set this up to where you are working, you get 10 out of 8 done, and you're just progressing more on the work. So now you can prepare more and more for another client, or even you give some more to this client. So preparation is the key to increasing your consistency and your intensity. Also, your impactfulness you kind of get more impactful when you have time and you have preparation, when there's not so much pressure on you, when there's not a time limit or a timeline or a constraint. At the beginning, it's easy to be like, okay, I have something due in a month, right? But then you get started when it's 10 days later, right? 10 days started when there's only 20 days left, or you get started when there's only 10 days left to get this done. Maybe some even 5, So always be preparing. Like, always be preparing. You need to be preparing, because if you're not preparing, you are not getting much done, because preparation is you getting work done. If you don't prepare, you're not going to get the work done. You have to be preparing. If you just sit down and you're like, I'm going to work, right? Are you preparing for something, or are you just getting work done? Preparation also comes with you having a goal in mind, having an objective in mind, in correlation with your operation. Having an objective that directly results in you moving in your operation. You gotta have preparation. Being impactful and being patient also comes with preparation. Because when you're preparing, you have to be patient to get the work done. Build and build and build and build. Like you're building a house. You have to build the frame, the foundation, the stucco, the roof, basically anything. You have to drywall, insulation, flooring, furniture. You have to prepare all this stuff before you're able to sell it. Before you're able to be like, hey, let me get the money. You have to prepare. Another thing is, with preparation comes some sort of loyalty to yourself. Because when you're loyal, when you're more loyal, you start to see that you start to sift through this sand, right, to find little gold nuggets, right? You sift through the sand, and when you sift through the sand, when you're loyal and loyal and loyal and loyal, you get through the grind, you get through the grit. You're gonna start seeing things. You're gonna start noticing, like, oh wow, this is good here. Oh wow, this is good here. You're gonna start to notice that in time, the more loyal you are to yourself, the more you can prepare, because you're more loyal to yourself. Therefore, what? When you're more loyal to yourself, you kind of trust yourself more. You trust your process, you trust your results, you trust you. And when you're loyal, you can keep on progressing. You don't have any of this, like, this turmoil where it's kind of like, man, fuck, I wasn't loyal to myself here, or I wasn't loyal to myself here. I wasn't, I I kind of failed here, you know? Because when you're loyal, you come to grips, you kind of, instead of seeing it as failure, instead of seeing it as you effed up, right? Instead of seeing it that way, you could just see, hey, my skill level was there, and that's what I produced, and that's what I'm gonna get out of it. You know, it's you have to have like an arsenal, an inventory of what you can do. You have to have an inventory of what you can do. Create an inventory of what you can do. You know, create an inventory. It could be small, it could be tiny, it could be large. Create an inventory. So once you have an inventory, you have tools, you have a tool set, and you can start working on stuff. You have the skill. All you have to do is use these tools to get it done. All right? And this comes with loyalty. This comes with preparation. You prepare a tool set, an inventory, an arsenal to be able to accomplish what you want. And you get to figure out, you know, when you can get stuff done. You can figure out what your abilities are at a point. You can figure out how to execute. You can figure out when to execute. You can figure out, you know, in exchange for my execution, how much could I get? How much do I get paid? Stuff like this. You know, it doesn't take a lot of doing to start to realize that you have to come to grips with what you're doing. You have to start searching for improvement rather than in retrospect doing things. You know, instead of you doing something and saying I have to improve, why not improve and prepare before that to where you're already in an improved position to where you can improve more and more and more? Why not do that? You know, instead of you saying, man, I could have done better, why not do better so that you don't say that and you actually get something, a better product? You could do that. You know, instead of you starting later, why not start now? Get good at starting now. Get good at preparing now. Get good at doing stuff in advance. It doesn't imagine if you were a real estate broker, right? And you're a real estate broker, and you have the documents. You know, the client. You know, let's say you got a 70 on your quiz, right? So you kind of know it, but you're kind of in the weeds a little bit. You kind of, should I get this? Do I get this? You passed it, but you didn't pass it with flying colors, right? The next time you have a client, you're gonna do as good as you did on the test, right? You're gonna do that good. But if you had prepared before, you know, there may be less problems that arise from your previous skill level. So like if you had just prepared to get 100, you're not gonna have as many problems in the future. You're not. You know, there's so much reason to prepare. There's so much reason to get good at preparing. It doesn't mean that you're gonna be top tier preparing. It doesn't mean that. What it means is, what preparing is I'm going to start, I'm going to continue, and I'm going to focus on the process. It's not me, you know, focused on getting an end product, because when I focus on getting an end product, there's no preparation there. If you focus on being driven to get this outcome, right? It's not that you're not going to get it. It's just that you're not kind of gaining the ability of preparing. So if I'm focused on getting something done, right? I'm not focusing on the skills of me preparing. Like if I'm focusing on getting a video out, if I just focus on getting the video out, did I prepare? You know, did I prepare my skill level to get the video out, or am I just getting a video out? You know? And yes, there's merit to getting a video out, there's merit to preparing, there's merit to getting your skill level up. But if you don't prepare, what is even gonna be the end product? If you only look for the end product, you're kind of like you're missing out on the preparation to get the end product. You know, don't be a person who doesn't have the right information at the right time. Now what this means is, be the person who prepares, because when you prepare, you have this to your side, you know, you have this, you tend to be more able to get stuff done. You tend to be able to have the right answer. You tend to be able to have, you know, the thing that you have the key to the lock. You tend to have those things when you're prepared. When you're not prepared, it's a little bit more it's not as um, it's not as good. Basically, it's not as um, when you're not prepared. It's not as you're not as welcoming either. Because when you're prepared, you can welcome people, you can invite people, you have this party, right? You have this thing, but you're not necessarily you're not necessarily with the amount of you're not with the amount of celebration that's needed for a party. You will have a party, but you're not gonna have the celebration needed. You're not gonna have the champagne. You're not gonna have the soda. You're not gonna have the brisket. You're not gonna have that. Instead, you're gonna have a party. Yes, it's gonna be a party. You're gonna invite people. It's gonna be fun, but you're not gonna have the things. You're not gonna have the tables. You're not gonna have the little table liners. You're not gonna have that. Instead, what you're gonna have is a bunch of like lower tier things, and there is merit to getting lower tier things. Don't get me wrong. You can do stuff with lower tier things, but if you just prepare to get something higher tier, you'd be able to get higher results. And it just stems from you starting. Like if you think you're lazy, broke, or tired, or even scared, I want you to invite you that the sun's always gonna rise up tomorrow. You're not gonna have. It's not the world's not gonna end. Okay, you're not gonna have. It's not gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a chance to do it every day. The thing is, you have to stand up. The thing is, you have to stand up and get the chance. You have to search for this opportunity. You have to take this opportunity. And you have to get it. You have to get this opportunity. You can't just be around and not take opportunities. You can't just miss an opportunity. You have to capitalize on it. You have to say, I have an opportunity here. I have an opportunity here. How can I win? How can I progress towards this opportunity? How can I invest in this opportunity? You have to be thinking about this. You can't be looking at an opportunity and not take it, because that means it's not yours anymore. You can't be the person who has an opportunity right in front of them and just doesn't seize it. You don't seize the opportunity. You have to seize the opportunity that's in front of you. You can't be a person that goes around not walking around lackluster, doesn't middle of the road, half of this, half of that, not committed to anything. And when you start to prepare, you start to commit to something, because you're basically committing to the thing you're preparing to. Preparation is a commitment. When you're preparing, you're not focused. You're just preparing. Yes, there's an end product in mind. There's an outcome. But when you're preparing, you're focusing on the process. You're not necessarily like being lackluster or mid, right? But you are preparing for the future. It's not a coincidence you're watching this video, okay? Not a coincidence. This video is meant to help you. This video is meant to help you stand up. Help you stand up for what you want. Help you stand up for your goals and ambitions and your objectives and operations. This is a video that is meant to spark. It's meant to help you. If you feel low. Because if you feel low, trust me, you can feel high. Okay? You can feel high. You can be on top of the moon with your feelings. Okay? It can be. But all it takes is you to stand up and say, you know what, today I'm going to start. Today I'm going to start. I'm going to get down, do 20 push-ups. I'm going to start today. Hell, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to go drink a coffee. I'm going to go and start my social media management business. I'm going to go and outreach to people with my business. I'm going to go study. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do my homework. I'm going to go and go to the gym. It all starts with that little thing, that little ounce of me saying I want to start, that little ounce of lighter fluid on the tinder. It all starts with that. Imagine you're cold. You have lighter fluid. You have this tinder. You have a lighter. And all you have to do is just put the lighter fluid on it, like the match. It's there. All you have to do is grab it. You just have to grab it. And once you grab it, you're going to be able to progress. And progress is good. Okay? Don't get me wrong, progress is good. You need progress. But it all starts with you spreading the tinder, adding the little bricks, adding the little sticks, and lighting the match. Boom. It all starts with the little spark. Because once you have an ounce, right? It's not like that ounce isn't there. You earned that ounce. That ounce is there. That ounce is going to stay there. That ounce is there forever. It's there forever. You did it. Okay? You gained that experience. It's not like that experience left. You have that skill level now. And all you have to do is just rebound, bounce back, do it again tomorrow. And do it again the next day. And the next day. And the next day. And the next day. All you have to do is just consecutively light this match, this spark, put the bricks, lay there in the warmth of the progress. Alright? Lay there in the warmth. Feel the warmth of progress. Feel this heat. Feel this fire. You have to disregard anything you've done in the past. Disregard it. Say today I'm gonna start. A little. An ounce. You could have a cup. Don't get me wrong. An ounce is an ounce. A cup's a cup. But get started. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a cup. It can literally be an ounce. Lighter fluid. A little cup of tinder. A little spark. Start the ignition of your car. No person who is great ever once wondered, like, in the future. Never ever once wondered if they couldn't do it. They never else wondered it. And you want to know why? Because along the road, they stopped asking these questions that were kind of holding them back. Okay? Along the road, these great people just said, you know what? I'm going to be able to do it. And I'm going to keep gaining and gaining and gaining traction. I'm going to keep gaining and gaining and gaining tender. I'm going to keep gaining lighter fluid. I'm going to keep gaining a stronger lighter. A torch. I'm going to upgrade to a torch. They kept doing that. They kept doing that and doing that and doing that. And along the way, they just unshackled themselves. They started upgrading their lighter. They started doing the tender. They stopped asking stuff in hindsight. They stopped saying, I should have done that better. Instead, they prepared and said, I'm going to do this better, right? Straight. I'm going to do this better straight. Okay? They started doing that. And these questions that would arise in the past, in hindsight, now they're no longer questions. Now it's like, okay, I can get it done. Instead of asking questions like I should have done it better, now it's I can do it like this, I can do it like this, I can do it like this. They stopped asking themselves if they could do it, and they just started doing it. And they started getting more traction and better and better and better. It's no question at all if you can do it. It's just, when are you going to do it? Once you do it, you can keep going, okay? It's not a question of when you are going to do it. It's a matter of when you're going to do it. You're not going to sit here and just be nonchalant about life. You're here to gain traction in your operations of life. You're not here to be a follower. You're not even here to be a consumer. You're not here to be this. What you're here for is to be a producer. You're here to be a builder. You're here to be an innovator. You're here to spark up and help others. You're here for this. You're here to not be the best, but become better. Okay? You're not here to compete. You're here for personal progress. You're not here for bullshit. You're here for straight action. You're not here for, you're never going to get anywhere if you don't commit. Nobody, not the vice president chair of the reserve board of the people who print the money. That person didn't get there without a commitment. You know, the president of the UK didn't get there without commitment. You know, the coffee business didn't get there without commitment. They had to outsource the bean. They had to figure out, how they were gonna plant it. They had to figure out, how they were gonna the packaging. They had to figure out, how to grow it so that it came out a little bit better every time. They had to figure that out. But it starts with commitment. You can't light a fire without a spark. And commitment and preparation is that spark. It's a spark. A spark is required for a fire. You can't just out of nowhere create a fire. You can't just vanish. You can't just out of nothing, right? You don't have a tinder, you don't have this. You can't just do it. You need the tinder. You need the spark. And that comes from your action. Okay? Everything you do is adding to this fire that you're building. This monumental fire of success that you can get warmth from. That would include, you buying things, going on experiences, going to places, eating good food, having a good life, being able to provide for your family. That's the warmth of success. The matter is you have to light it, you have to find the sticks, you have to get the tinder, you have to get a stronger lighter. Just like that. But the warmth from success, the heat of progress is pretty good. Okay? Because once you got it going, all you got to do is continue tending it, and you're going to be good. But all you need is that spark. All you need is that, I'm going to start. I'm going to start today. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this finished today. And then I'm going to go to bed. And I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to start some more. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to have a persevered start. I'm going to add this to my ability. Now I have this. Now I can wake up a little bit faster. Now I can wake up and I can get through it. I can go through the density of me waking up. I can get through that density. Okay? I can get through that decision to wake up. I can get through it. I can get through it now. With every single time you do it, every single time you wake up, that is the decision. You're getting through the decision to wake up. Along with preparation, you're gonna learn that a decision is work. A decision is not just, me did this X, Y, Z. A decision is me working to figure this thing out. And then from there, I work. In hindsight, you don't want to make this bad decisions in hindsight. But what you're going to realize is that a decision is carefully planned out work. That is a decision. The more you put in work into something so small, the more you can expand it, and the more you can tailor it. The more you can tailor like a blueprint. It's like one decision that took you like, okay, I'm gonna choose right or left. I choose right. You can actually work to make that decision to where it's not so intense, and then it's not so like nonchalant. It's not so like it becomes less of left or right, and it becomes more of, okay, what is this? What is right? Okay, right is XYZ. What is B? ABC. What do I choose? Well, let me see. Is there something that's more improved? Oh, let me see. DEF. What is DEF? What's straight down the middle, right? So you stop making decisions that are not as impactful to your situation, and you start to focus more on what actually matters. So just food for thought, guys. All you need is that spark, and that comes from you, and only you can muster it. But once you muster it, all you got to do is keep tending that fire. All you got to do. You may not feel the warmth of success today or tomorrow, but what I will tell you is after weeks and months and years, imagine how big that fire is going to be. Imagine how big that fire is going to be. All right? And I'm here with you. Thank you. Start. Thank you.